Welcome to Aligned Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda, and I'll be guiding our practice today. My question for you today is, how heroic do you feel? I was taken this week to chapter 6 in the book of Judges, the story of Gideon, who became a mighty warrior for God. But when God first calls Gideon, Gideon is hiding. The nation has been at war with the Midianites, and Gideon is threshing wheat far away from the action. And an angel of the Lord appears to him and says, "O mighty man of valor." Maybe the furthest thing from Gideon's understanding of himself. Paul tells us that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And the story of God throughout the Bible is of people who were ill-equipped, of people who were not ready for the challenges ahead of them. But when we are weakest, God shines through us most completely. So today I would invite you to embrace this mantle of valor. O mighty people of valor. We are going to work our way into hero pose. So hero pose is a kneeling pose. If you have knee or hip issues, ankle issues, or feet issues, you might have to modify it. And I will do everything that I can to get you there safely and comfortably, but modify, and make this practice work for you. Come to a seated position. Today, bringing your feet in front of you and crossing your legs comfortably. And today I would like you, if at all possible, to have 2 blocks or something that can elevate you 4 inches and another 4 inches up, and also a rolled up towel. So if you don't have that right now, maybe pause the video and go get that. Coming to the seated position with the hips elevated on one of those props, find your sitting bones, rock a little bit side to side, front to back. Maybe move the flesh of the buttocks away from the hip, from those hip bones, and just settle into the sitting bones. Closing your eyes, begin to let the space around you fade away. Begin to draw your attention inward. Notice your breathing. Begin to deepen the breath and lengthen the breath. Breathe a little more 3-dimensionally. Just check in, noticing the way your body feels. And for just a moment, really check in with the hips and the legs. Take a deep breath in, bring the arms up and overhead in prayer, and exhale, hands to prayer. Today, accepting whatever call God has on your life, entering into it courageously. Open your eyes. Bring your first 2 fingers of each hand to your hip crease, and just notice, how tight do those hip flexors feel today. Begin to just massage it out a little bit. And then just press into the hip flexors. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, and let the hips grow heavy. Go ahead and take your hand around the muscles of that right thigh and just gently move the muscles out to the side and away and towards your knee. And then to the other side. And then just take your thumb behind your knee, and with that other hand, move the muscles of the calf away and towards the front of the mat. And do that on the other side. Sitting tall on those sitting bones, shrug the shoulders all the way up to your ears and let them drop. And do that one more time. Close your eyes again. And notice the way that your body has connected to the mat. Has anything shifted and changed in what is comfortable and what is uncomfortable? Taking a deep breath in, let arms rise up and overhead, and exhaling, bring the hands down. And begin to connect movement with breath, guiding the movement as you breathe. So begin that lift with the inhale. Can the arms float? And pull down with that exhale, giving into the call of gravity. And 2 more breaths here. As the arms come down, leave the right arm where it is. Bring that left arm up and over and just reach to the side. And then inhale, and as you inhale, lift up and then come over to the other side. So back and forth here. How does that stretch feel? Can you feel the stretch all the way through the arms and down towards the hip? As you're ready, bring those arms down, and then one final time, bring the arms all the way up, palms together, and exhale, hands to prayer. Closing your eyes. Invite the Holy Spirit to guide your practice today, to guide your thoughts, to bring you into this place where you are fully equipped by the power and the authority of the Holy Spirit. Exhale, open your eyes, come off the block, bring the props towards the front edge of the mat. Cross the legs in front of you and find your sitting bones again. Taking a deep breath in, draw the arms all the way up, palms together, and then bring the inside of the hands, wrists, and forearms together, tucking your chin and bowing forward. So support your forearms. Maybe you are up on those props. Maybe the arms are all the way down on the mat. Just find what is best for you. And begin to open up across the upper back and the outside of that front hip. The hip that belongs to the front leg. Let the back of your head reach towards the mat. As you're ready, press your hands down and come up. Take your inside leg and pinwheel it behind you. So knees are bent at a 90-degree angle, feet are flexed. Go ahead and take your hand to that back hip and begin to lift and lower. So just rocking through here, beginning to open up the psoas muscle, beginning to release any tightness in the lower back. And then take your hand back to your foot and sweep it all the way over to the other fingers and back and forth here a few times. And then as you're ready, go ahead and bring that arm up parallel to the floor and look over the shoulder away from the movement of the arm, finding a little release in your neck. And then as you're ready, sweep that arm up if you choose to, pressing into the back arm, opening up the front of the body, and release. And 2 more times here. This final time, stay up and take a couple of breaths here. And just opening up shoulder to shoulder, hip points coming forward and rising, finding breath. Release, bring that arm all the way around and forward. And gently lift and lower the front leg back and forth here. Begin to add the movement of the body to that. So drop the head and the shoulders. Curl in and then come up. Think about a wave crashing on the beach. And one more time here. And then as you're ready and that front knee comes down, bring hands to either side of that leg. Gently bring the body over the leg. Forehead to your hands, or supported by one of the props. Stay here and breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. And then as you're ready, press into your hands and rise up. Switch your legs so that the leg that is behind you is now in front. Find the sitting bones again. Deep breath in, arms rise up again, finding the inside of the hands, wrists, forearms, tucking your chin, draw forward. And let the head drop down. Find breath. Back of the head coming towards the mat. Again, just noticing where is this stretch most intense for you, finding tension, but adjusting so that there is no struggle. Take 2 more deep breaths here. As you're ready, press into your hands and rise up. Bring the inside leg to the back. Again, bending the knees at a 90-degree angle, flexing through the feet. And bring that back hand to the hip. Forward and back, rocking the hip and opening up the hip flexor. 2 more times here. And bring the hand to the foot and over towards the other hand and back and forth here. Hand just grazing the floor. And then as you're ready, draw that arm up so that the arm is parallel to the floor, palm down as you come across, up as you go out. Looking opposite the movement of the arm. And then as you're ready, that back arm comes behind, press into it, open up the front of the body, and release. 2 more times. That third time coming all the way up. O mighty man or woman of valor. And as you're ready, sweep that arm all the way back and down. Hold on to that front leg and rock back and forth as you lift and lower the knee. Add the movement of the body, drawing the head and the shoulders down, rising up again. So back and forth here a few more times. And then as you're ready, just let that knee come down. Again, hands to either side of the leg. Gently draw the body over, support your forehead. Begin to activate the pose so the feet are flexed. That front hip crease is pressing towards the back. How much length can you find in your spine? As you're ready, press into your hands and rise up. Come forward into table. So go ahead and bring your wrist directly underneath your shoulders. Your knees are directly underneath your hips. And if you want a little padding for your knees, you can put that towel underneath your knees, or you can roll up the back edge of your mat. Find a strong table, drawing the eyes of the elbows in towards each other, towards the center of the mat, externally rotating the shoulders, engaging the abdominals. From here, find cat, drawing the navel in, letting the head draw towards the floor, and find cow. So back and forth here, cat to cow, 3 times, 3 breaths. As you're ready, meet me back in table. Again, just finding this strong table. And take your right foot all the way back behind you. So hero's pose works through the foot as well as the leg. So go ahead and really come over to the top of the foot, just noticing what your range of motion is. Again, what is comfortable, what is uncomfortable, where is that tension. And then as you're ready, come to the top of the foot. And just find your stretch there. So maybe you roll a little bit in or out. Maybe you press the toes a little bit further behind you. And then curl the toes under and press the heel all the way back to that wall behind you. Inhaling, go ahead and lift your leg up from the hip. Just float it up parallel to the floor. And then bring your foot to the sky, knee at a 90-degree angle. So hips are square to the front. From here, bring the heel all the way in and just straighten and bend the leg a few times. Stretching through the quadriceps, noticing what's going on in the front of the leg. And then as you're ready, bring that heel in. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you press into that right hand, sweep the left arm forward and find balance. And then maybe bring it up and over and find that back foot. So if you're here, that back foot is pressing into the hand, hand into foot. Open up the front of the body and draw your gaze up. As you're ready, release. Bring your hands down, knees down. And come into child, child to table once. And come back to child. So settle into child, turn your fingertips underneath, pressing the wrists forward, finding a bit of a wrist release. And then gently let the forearms come down, and for just a moment, really notice the connection or the lack of connection from hips to heels. How much distance is between the hips and heels? So again, as we come up into hero pose, your range of motion is going to be evident here. If your hips are far away from your heels, you're going to need a lot of props and a lot of support. Okay? If your hips just float down, that feels fabulous. Maybe you could even drop your hips down in between your legs if you wanted to. Then maybe you won't need quite as much support for that pose when we get there. Rise back up into table. Go ahead and bring that left leg back. Again, just to the top of the foot. Curl the toes under, press the heel back, back and forth here. And then as you're ready, stretch through the top of the foot. So again, just notice range of motion. Adjust the foot to find the stretch. Are your abdominals still engaged? Curl the toes under, heel presses towards the back edge of the mat. And then as you're ready, go ahead and bring that leg up, float the foot up to the sky, and then begin to draw the heel to hip and extend the leg. So several times here, just finding that quadricep stretch. How does that feel? And then as you're ready, bring that heel to hip. And maybe that's where you stay. Maybe the right arm reaches forward, you find balance. Comes all the way up and back. There's a connection, hand to foot. Foot presses into hand, hand to foot. Open up the front of the body, gaze draws up. So much going on here. Balance, strength. As you're ready, release. Hands and knees to the mat. Again, come child to table. And back to child. Curl the toes, curl the fingers underneath, wrists to sky, forehead to the mat, find breath. Lengthen the body into this child. And as you're ready, hands to the mat, forearms to the mat, take one more breath here. On the next inhale, meet me back in table. Bring your hands one handprint forward. Meet me in a kneeling plank and slowly make your way down to the mat. Forearms to the side of the mat, fingers spread wide. Press into the forearms as you draw up into Sphinx pose and exhale down. Back and forth here. As you're ready, come up into Sphinx and engage the abdominals and imagine the fingers drawing towards the toes and the toes drawing up and in towards the fingers. Elbows to hips and hips to elbows. Abdominals engaged. Find strength. Exhale, release, hands to the rib cage, draw back, hips to heels. Child's pose, stay here for 2 breaths. On the next inhale, rise up into a kneeling mountain. So come all the way up onto those knees, arms overhead, and exhale back into child. Inhaling, hips draw forward as you come into kneeling mountain. Exhaling, hips draw back to heels as you come into child. 2 more times here. As you're ready, come forward into kneeling plank and down to the mat. Find Sphinx and come back to child. And creating a flow from here, kneeling mountain to child. And then kneeling plank to the mat. And Sphinx to child. And one more time through. Lead with your breath. Kneeling mountain to child. Plank to the mat. And Sphinx to child. Take your time. Stay in child for 2 more breaths. The next inhale, meet me in table, curl the toes underneath, and draw knees up into the rib cage, keeping the knees bent. Let the head drop and shake it out. No and yes. And engaging through the abdominals, begin to pedal through your feet. And really move the hips side to side. So again, you're really thinking about loosening up the feet today, using your toes, using your ankles. As you're ready, inhale the heels high, exhale the heels down towards the mat. Hip crease reaches towards that wall where the ceiling meets the wall behind you. Imagine the inner thighs drawing in and up and towards each other. On the next inhale, the right leg rises high. Heel to hip, knee to sky. Open up the lower body. Really stretch that supporting leg and let that heel come down just a little more if that's accessible for you. And then extend that top leg center and up. Draw the gaze forward. Bring the foot all the way through your hands and begin to drop and lift that back knee. So maybe this is a good time for props on either side of that front foot. That back knee just drops and lifts. And then as you're ready, just let that back leg extend up. Straighten and bend the front leg a couple of times. Hold the hamstring stretch as the front leg extends. And then come back into lunge and drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat. Move the blocks out of the way. Toe heel the front foot off the mat. So the heel will be on the mat, but the ball of the foot will be off the mat and angled, keeping a 90-degree angle at that knee. Wrists still underneath the shoulders. Drop into the stretch, finding a hip stretch on the left hip. And then maybe bring that back leg up, finding a quadricep stretch, front of the thigh of the left leg. Maybe this is enough. Maybe you sweep that right arm up and back, connecting hand to foot, foot pressing into hand, gaze up. Find breath. And as you're ready, release, cartwheel down. And just toe heel that front foot back in. Go ahead and raise the back leg. Float the front foot to the back. Meet me in a strong plank. Drop down to your knees. Maybe come through grasshopper this time. Maybe into low cobra. Come back through child. And meet me in downward facing dog. Stay here, pedal through your feet. Inhaling, heels rise, exhaling, heels come down to the mat. Strengthen through the legs and let that left leg rise up, heel to hip, knee to sky. Begin to stretch through that right leg. Maybe the heel comes down just a bit more. And then square yourself back to the mat. Left leg rises to sky, gaze forward. Bring that back foot all the way through to the front. Maybe getting props. Back knee drops and lifts. Just opening up the hip on the other side now. And then as you're ready, extend that back leg, straighten and bend the front leg a few times, finding that hamstring stretch. And as you're ready, settle into the hamstring stretch for 2 breaths, back of the head coming down towards the mat. Engaging the abdominals. And come back into the lunge, Drop the back knee, top of the back foot to the mat. Move the props out of the way. Toe heel that front foot to the side until the ball of the foot is angled off the mat, heel on the mat. Wrist still underneath the shoulders. Drop into that back hip and begin to find the opening in the hip. Okay? Can you find your breath? Your option is to flex that back leg. So you're just going to bring that toe up to the sky. Begin to find that quadricep stretch. And again, you choose the intensity. Maybe you go all the way into the fullest expression of the pose. And that opposite arm, that right arm, reaches towards the foot. Sorry, left arm reaching towards the right foot. Opposite arm reaching towards the foot. Foot pressing into hand. And as you're ready, release and come back down to center and toe heel that front foot to center. Raise the back leg. This time, hop that back foot up to meet the front and meet me in forward fold. Shake your head out no. And yes. Begin to lift and lower the hips and begin to find your forward fold. So tension but not struggle. Finding as much length as you possibly can in the back. Bending the knees to accommodate tight hamstrings. Hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale down. Pressing through the feet, rise all the way up, mountain pose. Hands to heart. Just stay here for a breath. Sweep the arms up. Go ahead and take that right elbow to the sky. Right hand reaching back towards the shoulder. Left arm just kind of smoothing the muscles from the shoulders up to the tricep. Gaze forward. And if you want a little extra stretch here, you can lean to that left side. And then come back to center, and maybe you stay here, or maybe that left hand, palm out, comes all the way back and around, reaches to the front so that the fingertips can catch and find length here. So press the feet down, engage through the abdominals. And again, maybe you stretch a little bit to the side and release. And shake out those arms. Other side, so arms, both of them rise up. Find prayer. And then bring that left elbow to the sky as that left hand reaches down for the shoulder. Gaze straight in front of you, pressing through your feet. If you want that extra, you're just going to tilt a little bit to the right. And come back up, and maybe you stay there, or maybe you sweep that right arm all the way back and around. The fingers catch. You find a deeper tricep stretch here, softening the rib cage, pressing down through the feet, and maybe tilting to the side. As you're ready, release and let the hands come down. Deep breath in, hands to prayer. Exhale, hands to heart. Step into the right foot. Bring that left foot behind you, finding lunge. Taking a deep breath in, come all the way up into your lunge. Bring that right hand behind you. Left arm comes across as you find your twist. Take a nice deep breath here. Twist into it. As you're ready, release. Bring your hands behind you. So let's start with both hands in the sacrum bone and begin to find your back bend here. But maybe you're comfortable holding on to your forearms. And maybe you're comfortable with your palms together in the back, pressing down between your shoulder blades. So as you're ready, release. Let the hands come down and all the way up. Hands to heart. Step the back leg forward to meet the front. Deep breath in. Hands to heart, fold over. Forward fold. Stay here for a breath. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, exhale down. Pressing through the feet, come all the way up. Hands to heart, step into your right leg, step into your left leg, bring your right leg back into lunge. Find your balance. Find strength. Shoulders above hips. Navel drawing in and up. Rib cage knitted together and drawing down. From here, deep breath in, arms rise. Take that left hand to the small of the back, bring the right arm across and find twist. Stay here for a breath. As you're ready, release. Bring the arms back up, settle into the lunge, and then take those hands back behind you again, whichever expression is right for you. Hands to sacrum, holding on to the forearms, hands folded in prayer behind your back. Find your back bend. From here, sweep the arms all the way up, hands to prayer. Back foot comes up to meet the front. Mountain pose, stay here. Closing your eyes, finding your breath. Check in. Notice the way the feet are connected, the response of the body left to right, the beating of your heart. Can you slow down your breath? And the next inhale, arms rise, and the next exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up, back is parallel to the floor. Come back down to the mat. One leg back and then the other, find plank, and from plank, find your flow. Come down to the mat, chest comes through the arms. Find your back bend, come back through child. And come through table to meet me in downward facing dog. Pedal through your feet, move your hips. Deep breath in, heels rise. Exhaling, heels come down towards the mat. Find breath. Taking a deep breath in, raise your right leg high. Heel to hip, knee to sky. Begin to stretch through that left leg, heel drawing towards the mat. And then center that right leg, reach to the sky. Gaze comes forward, foot comes through the hands. Back foot to warrior one, rise up. Find a strong warrior one, hips facing forward, front leg at a 90-degree angle. And then straighten out that front leg, right hand to thigh. Exhale, come all the way forward, stretching through the back, and then come up. So you're just going to hinge on that hip as far forward as you can, and you're reaching for everything that God has for you. You don't want to miss any of it. And as you're ready, just go ahead and lunge that leg. Engage through the abdominals, square the shoulders and hips again, press through the front leg, bring the back leg through, knee up, and then let the hands come down and come into a quadricep stretch. So this left heel is to the hip, Extend the right arm forward for balance. So we're just going to stay right here. Imagine that your front thighs, the front of your thighs and your hips are pressing into the wall in front of you. And as you're ready, to sweep that arm all the way up and back and shake your leg out. Shake your arms out, walk it out. Nice deep breath in, mountain pose, exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, come up halfway, exhale down, one leg back and then the other, find plank. From plank, come down to the mat. Find your back bend. And meet me in child. From child, come to downward facing dog. Pedal through your feet, bend your knees, move your hips. Inhaling, heels rise. Exhaling, heels come down. Activate the muscles of the legs. Left leg rises up, heel to hip, knee to sky, foot flexed. Just pressing that imaginary wall behind you with your foot. Stretching that right leg out. Come to center, left leg reaches for the sky, gaze forward. Bring that left foot through your hands, bring that back foot to warrior one, sweep the arms up, and find your warrior. Mighty people of valor. Straighten out that front leg, left hand to the center of the thigh, right arm reaches, come all the way forward and down. And inhale up. So back and forth here. Can you keep your hips stable and steady? Bend the knee as much as you need to. One more time. As you're ready, raise both hands up, lunge that front leg, find your warrior, shoulders down towards hips. Again, just drawing that belly button in towards the spine and up, softening the rib cage. Hands to heart. Find balance, stepping into that front leg. Back leg sweeps through, knee up. And then just bring it back, finding a quadricep stretch. Taking that left arm in front of you, finger to thumb, reaching forward. Back foot pressing into the hand, hand pressing into foot. Imagining both legs and hips pressing against a wall in front of you. One more breath here. And release, shake out that leg. Shake out your arms. Deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. And shake your head out, no, and yes. And find your breath here. Gently straighten out the left leg, bending the right knee. Can you find a stretch on the outside of that left hip in the IT band? And then switch. Can you find the stretch on the other side? And find your final forward fold. One breath here. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, one leg back, and then the other. Find plank. From plank, draw the knees down. Meet me in child. And from child to table twice. And then meet me in child. Has your child's pose shifted at all since you started? What is comfortable? What is uncomfortable? Where do you feel tension? Where do you feel release? One more breath here. Press through your hands. Bring your hips to the side and come to a seated position. So we are going to go into hero's pose here. So let's everybody start with both of those props, unless you know that you know that you know that this is in your practice. And you're just going to put these blocks behind you wide, okay? Come up onto your knees and find that kneeling mountain with the blocks in between your calves. And bring your towel behind your knees. Okay. So I have the towel behind my knees. When I sit down, I'm going to be sitting on those blocks. So just very gently begin to sit back and find the blocks. And find the sitting bones on the blocks. So this is your first level of hero's pose. And if you have really wonky knees or hips, this pose just might not be right for you. Okay? So just imagine now that the feet and the shins are pressing down and growing roots into the earth, and that the upper body is floating out of the block. If you'd like to take it deeper, first step is to bring the knees in just a little closer together and the feet out just a little wider. Okay? And if that still feels really good, just fine, you know, maybe you come down onto that lower block, right? Still feels great. Maybe you lose the towel. Okay? I don't recommend ever dropping your hips to the mat. I think even with healthy knees and hips, that puts too much strain on the knees. The fullest expression of the pose is with the hips on the floor, on the mat. Okay? But I am going to keep mine up here on the block, and I recommend that you do the same. Go ahead and massage out the feet a little bit. And just let the toes turn in a little bit. So again, going very slowly and gently through each element of the pose. And then take your hands behind you to the small of your back. And stack your shoulders over your hips. And draw your belly in. And maybe hold on to your forearms. Maybe hands in prayer behind you. Gaze forward. Eyes closed. Face soft. Take 3 breaths here. Do you accept the power and the authority that God gives you through His Spirit? Do you believe that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you? If your hands are behind you, gently let them come down. Bring them all the way up and overhead. Rotate through the wrists a few times. And everybody join me in prayer, hands to heart. And stay here for 2 more breaths. Just accepting all that God has for you. As you're ready, let your hands come down to your side. So coming out of a pose is every bit as important as how you come into a pose. So take your hands behind you, just a little tiny bit of weight on those fingers, one leg at a time. Just bring that leg forward and in front, knee bent, other leg. And then just gently start to straighten out the legs and bounce your knees a little bit. And then pressing into your hands, come off that block. Knees are bent. And again, just straighten out the legs, wobble the knees. Okay. Keep the towel near where your knees will ultimately be in Shavasana. Bring your block to your hips and come down to the mat. So knees are hip width apart. Feet are about 1 foot distance away from the hips. Shoulders are flat to the mat. Gently come up into bridge, 1 vertebra at a time, just lifting up and really opening up the front of the body. So we've done a lot of forward folding in this practice. Find that release as you open up shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, and then gently come out of your bridge. And do that twice more, taking your time, connecting to your breath. Can you feel the articulation of each vertebra in the spine as you lift and as you lower? As you're ready, lift up just enough that you can bring this block underneath your sacrum bone, right above the tailbone, underneath the spine. And just settle into that. And let the body just melt over the block. Take one more breath here. And pressing through your feet, come up, moving that block out of the way. Let the back come down to the mat. Let the knees float in together. Walk the feet out a little bit wide. Hero pose on the mat. And then gently just toe heel the feet back in. Extend the legs long, bringing that blanket underneath the knees. And bouncing the knees again. Wiggling the hips. Turning your head side to side. Bring the hands all the way up to the sky. And palms facing in, just keeping the arms straight. Let the shoulders thump down to the mat. Do that twice more. And let the hands come down to your hips, palms up. And settle into Shavasana, finding breath. Allowing your body to settle into the mat. And as you stay there, eyes closed, I'm going to read to you. From All Along You Were Blooming by Morgan Harper Nichols. Decorate with flowers or words or music and open the door for an old friend. Just be there and listen without a word, human to human, heart to heart. We are all blooming, and as we breathe this same air side by side, we are reminded at our core how similar we are. Gently bring yourself back to this time and this space. Reconnect with your breath and notice the way that your body has settled into the mat. Begin to bring movement back. Wiggle fingers and toes, rotate wrists and ankles. Turn your head side to side. On your next inhale, draw your arms up and overhead and just reach as far as you can, fingers and toes. And then as you're ready, draw your knees in and roll over onto one side, arms supporting you under your head. Find breath. On that next inhale, press into your hands and come up to a sitting position. Check in body, mind, and soul. What has changed? What has stayed the same? On your next inhale, arms rise up and overhead, palms together, and exhaling, hands to heart, bow your head. Holy God, it is so hard to see ourselves as you see us. As we become less, you become more, filled with the authority and the power of your Spirit. Thank you, Jesus, for showing us what a hero looks like. Self-sacrificing, giving everything, taking the time to minister to those in need. Listening, asking questions. God, we leave this mat victorious today. Men and women of valor, courageously going out into whatever battles you have for us, that every knee may bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, overwhelmed by the power of your love. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for joining me today.